know what I'm going to tell you today? How to make success so automatic, so inevitable, that motivation becomes irrelevant. How to build a life where winning isn't a choice you make every morning. It's just what happens. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people won't tell you. Every time you failed at something important, it wasn't because you lacked willpower. It wasn't because you weren't motivated enough. It was because you were playing a rigged game against yourself. Think about the last time you set a goal. Really think about it. Maybe it was getting in shape. Maybe it was starting that business. Maybe it was learning something new. You felt that fire, didn't you? That surge of determination. You could see yourself succeeding. You could feel it. And then what happened? Life happened. Monday happened. Your alarm clock happened. That voice in your head happened. The one that negotiates with you every single morning. The one that says, just this once. Or, tomorrow I'll start fresh. Or, I deserve a break. Here's what nobody talks about. That voice isn't your enemy. That voice is actually trying to protect you. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The problem isn't the voice. The problem is that you're fighting a battle you can never win. But what if I told you there's a way to make that voice irrelevant? What if success could run on autopilot while you sleep? Do you think that sounds too good to be true? Or does something deep inside you recognize that this might be exactly what you've been looking for? Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to share with you is going to change how you think about achievement forever. Picture this. It's 5:47 a.m. Your alarm hasn't even gone off yet, but you're already awake. Not because you have to be, because your body just knows. You slide out of bed, feet hitting the cold hardwood floor, and there's this quiet certainty in your chest. Not excitement. Not motivation, just knowing. You walk to the kitchen. The coffee maker has already started. You set it up the night before, same as always. The house is still dark, still quiet. Your time. This is your sanctuary. You don't think about whether you feel like working out today. You don't debate it. You don't negotiate. Your gym clothes are already laid out. Your workout is already planned. Your water bottle is already filled. You just do. And here's the thing. You're not white-knuckling your way through this. You're not gritting your teeth and forcing yourself forward. This isn't some heroic act of willpower. This is just Tuesday. This is just who you are now. That's what inevitability feels like. It feels like breathing. It feels like gravity. It doesn't require courage or motivation or inspiration. It just is. Now, compare that to how most people live. They wake up and immediately start negotiating with themselves. Should I work out today? Do I feel like it? What if I'm too tired? What if I don't have time? What if I start tomorrow instead? They turn getting out of bed into a philosophical debate. They turn their morning routine into a daily crisis of identity. They turn every small decision into a test of their character. And then they wonder why they're exhausted by 10 a.m. Listen, I've been there. I've been the guy who bought the gym membership in January and used it twice. I've been the guy who wrote down goals and forgot about them by February. I've been the guy who had all the motivation in the world on Sunday night and none of it on Monday morning. But somewhere along the way, I learned something that changed everything. I learned that successful people aren't more motivated than everyone else. They're not more disciplined. They're not stronger or tougher or more determined. They just understand something that most people don't. They understand that willpower is a finite resource, and they've learned how to build systems that don't require it. There was a time when men didn't need motivation seminars, when people didn't need to psych themselves up to do what needed to be done, when work was work, and you did it because that's what work was. My grandfather never talked about finding his passion. He never wondered if he was living his best life. He got up every morning at the same time, went to the same job, came home to the same family, and did it all again the next day. Not because he was particularly motivated, not because he loved every minute of it, because that's what men did. And you know what? He was happy. Deeply, quietly happy in a way that seems almost foreign now. He had this unshakable sense of purpose that came from doing what needed to be done day after day, year after year. Compare that to today. We've turned everything into a question. Should I stay at this job? Should I stick with this relationship? Should I keep working out? Should I keep learning this skill? We've made uncertainty our default state. We've been sold this idea that life should feel magical all the time. That if you're not passionate about something, you shouldn't do it. That if you don't feel motivated, you should wait until you do. That if it doesn't spark joy, you should let it go. And the result? A generation of people who are paralyzed by choice, who change directions every time they hit resistance, who confuse excitement with purpose and comfort with happiness. The old way wasn't perfect, but there was something powerful about that simple commitment to consistency. That understanding that character is built in the small moments when nobody's watching. That strength comes from doing hard things, even when, especially when, you don't feel like it. Here's what we've forgotten. Motivation is a luxury. It's the cherry on top. It's nice when it's there, but if you need it to function, you're in trouble. The men who built the cities you live in didn't wait to feel motivated. The women who raised the children, who became your heroes, didn't check their passion levels every morning. They just did what needed to be done. And that's not some old-fashioned concept that doesn't apply anymore. That's the most relevant thing you could possibly understand in a world that's trying to distract you every second of every day. Because here's the truth. In a world where everyone is waiting to feel ready, the person who just starts has already won. Let me tell you what inevitability looks like in real life. It's not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's almost boring. It's the way you brush your teeth. You don't wake up every morning and debate whether you feel like brushing your teeth today. You don't wait for dental hygiene motivation to strike. You don't read inspirational quotes about cavities. You just brush your teeth, because that's what people do. It's the way you drive to work. You don't sit in your driveway every morning wondering if you feel like going to your job today. You don't wait for commuting inspiration. You don't need a pep talk to turn the key. You just go, because that's what people do. It's the way you feed your dog. Your dog doesn't care if you're having an off day. Your dog doesn't care if you're not feeling it. Your dog is hungry, so you feed your dog, because that's what dog owners do. Notice the pattern? The things that actually get done consistently in your life are the things you've stopped thinking about. The things you've made automatic. The things that have become part of who you are, not what you do. But then, look at the things you struggle with. The gym membership you're not using, the book you're not writing, the skill you're not learning, the business you're not starting. What do they all have in common? You're still treating them like choices. Every morning, you wake up and decide whether you're going to work out today. Every evening, you decide whether you're going to work on your project tonight. Every weekend, you decide whether you're going to make progress on your goals this week. And every decision is a drain on your willpower. Every choice is an opportunity to choose wrong. Every moment of hesitation is a crack in your foundation. The successful people I know don't make these decisions anymore. They've eliminated choice from the equation. They work out because they're the kind of person who works out. They write because they're the kind of person who writes. They study because they're the kind of person who studies. It's not about what they do, It's about who they are. I know a guy who hasn't missed a workout in 8 years. Not one. Not when he was sick, not when he was traveling, not when he was busy, not when he didn't feel like it. You want to know his secret? He stopped treating it like a decision. He doesn't wake up and ask himself if he's going to work out today. He wakes up and works out. Because that's what he does. That's who he is. The question isn't, should I work out? The question is, what am I going to work out today? I know a woman who's written every single day for 5 years. Not just when inspiration strikes, not just when she has something important to say. Every single day. She doesn't wait for the muse to visit. She doesn't wait to feel creative. She sits down and writes, because that's what writers do. The difference between people who achieve their goals and people who don't isn't talent. It's not intelligence, it's not motivation, it's identity. The people who achieve their goals have made those goals part of who they are. They've moved them from the realm of behavior into the realm of identity. And once something becomes part of your identity, willpower becomes irrelevant. So here's the question that's going to haunt you tonight. Here's the thing that's going to keep you awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking, what if everything you've been told about success is wrong? What if the reason you keep starting and stopping isn't because you lack discipline? What if it's because you're trying to discipline the wrong thing? Let me paint you a picture. It's you 5 years from now. You wake up in the same bed, in the same room, living the same life you're living right now. The same struggles, the same frustrations, the same gap between who you are and who you want to be. 5 years of Monday mornings where you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. 5 years of Sunday nights where you plan to change everything. 5 years of looking in the mirror and seeing the same person looking back. How does that feel? How does that sit in your chest? Because that's where you're headed. That's the trajectory you're on right now. Unless something changes, unless you change. But here's what's really going to mess with your head. Here's what's going to make you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. You already know how to be inevitable. You already know how to make things automatic. You already know how to eliminate choice from the equation. You do it every day with the things that don't matter. You check your phone automatically. You don't wake up every morning and debate whether you feel like scrolling through social media today. You just do it because that's who you are now. That's your identity. You watch Netflix automatically. You don't have a philosophical crisis every evening about whether you should watch another episode. You just do it because that's what you do. You eat junk food automatically. You don't have a moral debate with yourself every time you're hungry. You just reach for what's convenient because that's your pattern. You've made all the wrong things inevitable. You've automated all the behaviors that keep you stuck. You've built perfect systems for staying exactly where you are. And the crazy part? You did it without even trying. You did it without reading a single book about habit formation. You did it without taking a course on behavior change. You just became someone who does those things. So if you can make mediocrity automatic, if you can make distraction inevitable, if you can make comfort your default setting, what's stopping you from doing the same thing with excellence? What's stopping you from becoming the kind of person who automatically does the things that matter? What's stopping you from making success so much a part of who you are that failure becomes literally impossible? Nothing. Nothing is stopping you except the story you're telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. And that story is just a choice. It's just a decision you made somewhere along the way about what kind of person you are. And decisions can be changed. But here's the part that's going to either save you or destroy you. Here's the moment where everything pivots. You can't change your identity by trying to change your behavior. You can't become disciplined by forcing yourself to be disciplined. You can't become consistent by white-knuckling your way through consistency. Identity doesn't come from doing. Doing comes from identity. So the question isn't, what should I do? The question is, who do I need to become? And once you become that person, once you really truly become that person, the actions become automatic. The behaviors become inevitable. Success becomes just another Tuesday. But you have to choose. You have to decide. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Right now, who are you going to be? Take a breath. Let that settle. I know that was heavy. I know that might have stirred something up inside you that's been quiet for a while. That restless feeling. That sense that you're capable of more than you're showing the world. And maybe you're thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but what about the practical stuff? What about the actual steps? What about the how? Here's the thing. The how is actually simpler than you think, but it's also harder than you want it to be. It's simpler because you don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to become a completely different person by next Tuesday. You don't need to make dramatic changes or grand gestures. You just need to start acting like the person you want to become. In small ways, in quiet ways, in ways that nobody else will even notice. If you want to become someone who's in great shape, start acting like someone who cares about their health. Not by going to the gym for 3 hours every day. By taking the stairs instead of the elevator. By parking a little farther away. By choosing water instead of soda. If you want to become someone who's successful in business, start acting like someone who takes their work seriously. Not by working 80-hour weeks. By showing up on time, by keeping your commitments, by doing what you say you're going to do. If you want to become someone who's constantly learning and growing, start acting like someone who values knowledge. Not by reading 50 books this year. By reading for 10 minutes every morning. By listening to podcasts instead of music. By asking better questions. Small actions. Consistent actions. Actions that align with the identity you're trying to build. But here's why it's harder than you want it to be. It requires patience. It requires faith. It requires you to keep going when you can't see the results yet. Because identity shift happens slowly. It happens in the accumulation of small moments. It happens in the compound interest of tiny decisions made over and over again. You don't become a runner by running a marathon once. You become a runner by running a little bit every day until running becomes part of who you are. You don't become disciplined by having one perfect day. You become disciplined by making small disciplined choices every day until discipline becomes your default setting. You don't become successful by achieving one big goal. You become successful by succeeding at small things so consistently that success becomes inevitable. And that's where most people give up. In the quiet middle, in the boring part, in the part where nothing seems to be happening. They want the transformation to be dramatic. They want the progress to be visible. They want to feel different immediately. But real change doesn't work that way. Real change is subtle. It's gradual. It's almost invisible until suddenly it's not. One day you'll wake up and realize you haven't thought about whether you should work out in months. You'll realize you automatically choose the healthy option without thinking about it. You'll realize you've become the kind of person you used to admire from a distance. And that's when you'll understand what inevitability really feels like. So here we are, at the end of this conversation, but maybe at the beginning of something else for you. I want to leave you with something to think about, something to carry with you as you go back to your regular life, your regular routines, your regular Monday mornings. Every single day, you wake up and get to choose who you're going to be. Not in some grand philosophical sense. In small, practical ways that nobody else will even notice. You get to choose whether you're the kind of person who follows through or the kind of person who gives up. You get to choose whether you're the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do or the kind of person who makes excuses. You get to choose whether you're the kind of person who builds something meaningful or the kind of person who just gets by. And here's what I want you to understand. Those choices compound. They add up. They accumulate into something bigger than the sum of their parts. Every time you choose to act like the person you want to become, you're not just doing something, you're becoming someone. You're casting a vote for the kind of person you are. And eventually, if you cast enough votes, if you accumulate enough evidence, if you stack enough small wins on top of each other, you don't have to try to be that person anymore. You just are that person. That's when motivation becomes irrelevant. That's when discipline becomes automatic. That's when success becomes inevitable. But it all starts with a choice. It starts with you deciding that you're tired of negotiating with yourself every morning, that you're tired of living in the gap between who you are and who you could be. It starts with you deciding that you're ready to become inevitable. The path is simple. The path is clear. The only question is whether you're going to walk it. If this resonated with you, if something inside you recognizes the truth in what we've talked about today, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I'm going to keep sharing the insights and perspectives that can help you build the life you actually want to live. And remember, becoming inevitable isn't about perfection. It's not about never failing or never struggling. It's about becoming the kind of person who gets back up, who keeps going, who treats setbacks as data instead of defeats. It's about understanding that success isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a way of being that you cultivate, day by day, choice by choice, identity by identity, until one day you look around and realize you're not trying to be successful anymore. You're just successful because that's who you are now. That's who you've always been capable of becoming. You just needed to remember. Until next time, I'll see you in that next video that's about to pop up on your screen.